Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. I'm Chloe Brewster and here are your top stories on Friday the 27th of March. It's like driving over trenches. Worms Hill villagers hit out at Kent County Council over dangerous potholes.
Clearly nothing's been done there's so many potential issues for all of us.
Swift action. Bird boxes installed in Maidstone as community opens their hearts and homes to nature.
Nature and humanity are absolutely linked.
And supermarket sweeps investment. Sainsbury's in Tonbridge officially opens after a £20 million boost.
The butcher, Sankey's the fishmonger, I hope they're going to do very well out of this too.
Frustrated motorists in Worms Hill say their roads are being forgotten, with potholes described as like trenches, which are causing hundreds of pounds worth of damage. Residents say issues have been reported for months, and while the council have now carried out some repairs, many say it's come too late. Our reporter Kristen Hawthorne has been to the village to hear more from those affected.
You know that feeling when you brace yourself before you're about to hit a really deep pothole? Well, here near Worms Hill, that happens quite often, and residents say it's just not good enough.
Those who live in the Wormhill village say driving in the area is costing them hundreds of pounds worth of damage, and they worry their roads are being forgotten about by the council. Several people have reported issues since the end of last year, and it's taken 3 months for any repair work to be carried out. Two of those people is Blake and his girlfriend Abigail.
It's always been an issue, potholes, but they used to get fixed, so it's definitely taken a turn for the worse since the change in council, really. Normally what would happen is a big pothole like the ones down the road would be reported, and you'd have someone mark it within, a week maybe? Yeah. And then you'd get a temporary fill-in, and then it would get fixed, right? Especially a bad one, because obviously people's cars on the line.
This has been since Christmas.
Yeah,
and nothing's been done.
There's probably 20 of them, and I mean, our car's been had 2 wheels broken. My neighbour across the road, he's had a good couple broken. Probably a good, maybe 6 people have had their cars broken, so.
Their neighbour Mike has been using his daughter's car while his is getting repaired. He needs it to look after his ill father.
For the last 5 or 6 weeks I've been running around in my daughter's car, which particularly living where I am, you know, has been a godsend. Is absolutely essential to have transport. I don't know what I've done without it. Me having had 2 experiences in the last 3 months that are going to cost me potentially getting on for £5,000 if you add the 2 up. So I think particularly having just got my revised council tax bill, which is going up £20, and I'm single occupancy, you know, so for other people in this area it's going to be even more. I think it's long overdue that something is done to address the situation.
While the council had arrived to fill in some potholes while we were there, Mike says it's too late. For people living here, they say the problem goes deeper than the potholes. It's about the impact on their daily lives and feeling left behind. Kristen Hawthorne for KMTV, Worms Hill.
And Kristen joins me in the studio now. Kristen, what was it like down there? Was it really that bad?
Well, I did drive there on my own, and I was there with a Kent Online reporter as well, and we took 2 different routes, and I realised the one that I took was much worse. It was really quite bad. I did hit a few, and that's what inspired me to speak to the camera, as you saw maybe at the start of the story there, because throughout the road I was bracing myself every time I was about to hit one. This is just one example, but when we went out with the couple to sort of find these different potholes, we did see that the council, as you can see on screen, were filling some of them in. But they said that there's many more. There's about 20 that they can just remember off the top of their heads. So it's interesting to see that how many maybe the council have filled in. But yeah, we were just measuring them and having a look. There's me throwing some stones in to sort of portray just how deep it was. But yeah, it was quite bad.
Mm-hmm. And you know, what is the sort of mental impact on someone if they've constantly got to be driving through potholes, swerving around? It must be stressful.
Yeah, well, when I pulled over to take some videos of the one of the potholes, Mike actually drove past me. He was on his way to see his father, who's quite ill. And he said that it's just quite serious for him because it's more than just the financial impact, but a personal impact as well, because if he didn't have that car, he's quite lucky. If he didn't have his daughter's car, he couldn't help his father. But I have something, I asked him what more he could say to the council, and this is what he had to say.
For years, I had a Toyota, probably about, it would be about 15 years ago. In the course of owning it over about 5 years, I had to replace 4 wheels on it, one by one, separate incidences where not only were the tyres damaged, but the wheels were distorted, were buckled. I've been living here for 21 years now, and for most of that time it's been an issue. And obviously it's not just this village, it's across the whole country. There seems to be enough money to spend on marking roads 20 miles an hour and on putting up speed cameras, but I guess those things make money. Potholes just cost money.
Crews spent the morning tackling a blaze at a car dealership in Canterbury. Multiple fire engines and police were called to a fire at the Mercedes-Benz dealership about 10 minutes before a suspected arson attack outside a nearby M&S. Crews were first called to the blaze at the commercial building in Sturry Road earlier this morning before receiving a call about more flames spotted in nearby Vauxhall Road. People were asked to avoid the area surrounding the dealership due to heavy smoke, and those living nearby were told to shut their windows and doors, but this advice has now been lifted. 2 police constables working in Aylesford are said to have lied to their bosses in order to attend a cruise ship career course. PC Ben Matthews and colleague Alex Tribe were discovered to have faked being sick in order to attend the course, where pictures featuring them were seen on social media. The 2 had already resigned by the time the misconduct proceedings had started, but were told they would have been sacked after the truth came to light. They had a combined experience of more than 20 years in the service, and the hearings report said that their actions had harmed the reputation of Kent Police. New biometric border checks at the Port of Dover and the Eurotunnel have been delayed again after ongoing technical problems. The entry-exit system was supposed to be installed next month, but has been postponed after the French authorities revealed there were issues. The new system would mean that instead of having passports stamped, passengers would have their fingerprints and a facial image captured and stored digitally. The rollout has been postponed several times, but the chief executive of the Port of Dover has said it will be online when we need to have it. A 5-year-old with complex SEND needs has been missing out on education for 5 months after being placed in an unsuitable school in Rainham. Hudson Black's mum has been told that her son would not be safe in the mainstream school, but the council have refused to change providers, leading to him having to stay at home. Finn McDermott joins me in the studio to tell me more. Finn, tell me a little bit about this.
Absolutely. So, as you say, Hudson was due to start proper schooling in September and was given a place in Parkwood Primary, which is in Rainham. That is a mainstream school. Now, he has an education, health and care plan, which is a legally binding document, and that says that he needs one-to-one support. He needs a specialist education placement. Now, he's in sort of gridlock, a bit of a deadlock at the moment. The school has said they're unable to accommodate him with the services they have. However, the council are reportedly telling the school to simply make it work. But in the meantime, he's just not attending, and his mum, Charlotte, is getting quite worried. The school, as I say they weren't able to accommodate his needs, and they simply couldn't offer him a place. Those words were from the head teacher, Lee McCormack, speaking to Medway Council. And this is, as you can imagine, very worrying for his mum, Charlotte. She says she actually risks being fined for his non-attendance, even though he's been placed at an unsuitable school.
And why have the school said it would be too dangerous?
The school have said they don't have the trained staff to be able to accommodate Hudson, his specific needs, especially including the one-to-one, as they say, without negatively impacting their resources and their ability to teach the other students. They already have, as they say, larger than the recommended class size. In the report, actually, that happened during this meeting from Medway Council, it said, from the school even, from reading Hudson's proposed EHCP, it highlights the substantial number of highly specialised one-on-one interventions and support he requires. The opportunities for Hudson to access the learning with his cohort is non-existent if he were to be placed in a mainstream setting, such as Parkwood Primary School. Those are words said to the local Democracy Reporting Service.
And what solutions are being looked at? You know, it obviously can't go on like this.
Absolutely. So Charlotte has taken Medway Council to tribunal over the issue, but this won't be heard until 2027. So for Hudson, that is a long time down the road, and that is still a lot more school missed. They added Medway Council is committed to ensuring all children have access to school places that meet their educational needs. In the meantime, Charlotte has made a suggestion that he could be enrolled in the Daffodil Project, which is a sort of therapeutic, nature-based inclusion centre in Rainham. But she added that the council have also not accepted this option. She says, everything I've suggested, the council can fund it. It's for children with autism, and they do things like exploring outside. But as we heard there, Medway Council have not accepted that, but they still say that they are, hoping to accommodate Hudson.
Thank you so much, Finn, and for raising this important issue about the EHCPs. And now it's time for a short break, but there's plenty more still to come. When we return, we'll be taking a look at a stabbing that happened in Swanscombe. We'll also be hearing from a clean water campaigner who also happens to be a crime writer who's lost her legal battle against South East Water. We'll also be joined by our reporter Maisie, live from outside Age UK in Medway, which today announced it would be closing in a shock move. And we'll take a look at the weather. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. Now, an 18-year-old man has been charged after an alleged alleyway stabbing in Swanscombe after initially arresting a 29-year-old man and a 41-year-old in connection with the attack. Emergency services were called to Gun Road just before 7 p.m. on Monday following reports of a serious assault. Yesterday, an 18-year-old man and a 16-year-old girl were arrested by officers investigating the incident. The 18-year-old of Black Eagle Drive, Northfleet, has been remanded in custody and appeared at Medway Magistrates Court today. The arrested girl has been released on bail while the investigation continues. A clean water campaigner from Whitstable has lost a legal battle with South East Water at Canterbury Crown Court after refusing to pay her water bill. Julie Wasmer, who works as a crime writer, represented herself in the case and now has to pay the service more than £1,400. She spoke outside the court on how she felt about the decision.
Water companies in this country say they are statutorily obliged to provide services which we, as their customers, are statutorily obliged to pay for, regardless of how inadequate those services are. And that we cannot actually bring a case against them or have a dispute heard in court, a court at which a decision can be made regarding those specific disputes. Because of the statutory law itself, which is inherent in the Water Industry Act 1991, by which the water industry was privatised in this country. What we attempted to do here was to apply Article 6 of the Human Rights Act within our defence.
Maidstone Borough Council has teamed up with the charity High Wheeled Swifts to launch a new community initiative, Swift Streets. It's aimed at protecting one of the county's town's most remaining Swift colonies. As part of the project, 50 free Swift boxes have been offered to residents living in key streets where Swifts have been recorded nesting and breeding. The project has proved popular with locals, with all boxes now claimed. I went to Maidstone earlier to see the installation for myself. That's the noise people in Maidstone hope to wake up to following a successful uptake of the Borough Council's Swift Box scheme. An £11,000 grant to High Wheeled Swifts is seeing the delivery of 50 Swift boxes on residents' homes across the city.
I actually have a love of birds, so my other half thinks I'm very funny when we're out walking. I'm like, oh listen, that's a blackbird, that's a robin, which I think all came from my childhood. My dad and I used to sit and do the little RSPB, bird watches and see how many birds came to the garden. So for me, they're a big part of my life, and quite often I work for the NHS and I wake up really early some mornings, like 8:30, worrying about, it's quite a stressful job, and often I'll just listen to the birds and they get me back to sleep. So when I heard about the Swift Box, I just thought it was a no-brainer really.
It comes after surveys confirm that a surviving Swift colony in Maidstone successfully raised the young last year, but they urgently need additional safe nesting spaces this spring.
Going back hundreds of years, they would have nested in cliffs and trees, but they've become entirely dependent now on human dwellings and houses and so on and so forth. And they cavity nesters, so they need holes where they can go in and make a very small nest. And these days we like to block up holes in our houses. We like to seal our houses and make sure that they're kind of energy friendly and all the rest of that. So Swifts can't necessarily get into the holes that they used to.
This is an urban population in North Maidstone around Waterloo Road, Grecian Street, Curzon Road, Salisbury Road and St Luke's Road. And it has given them something special about their neighbourhood. I think that nature and humanity are absolutely linked. And if we don't have a healthy environment and we don't have healthy ecosystems, we don't have healthy human neighbourhoods. So I think we're inextricably linked. I don't think it's either or. If we don't do both, we get neither.
For resident Nikki, she's so excited for the birds, she's debated getting a special speaker to help attract them more swiftly. Chloe Brewster for KMTV in Maidstone. Now, the trustees of Age UK Kent Rivers have confirmed today that they have closed. This follows significant cash flow challenges, and the organisation is now likely to enter an insolvency process. The charity supported many people across Medway, providing services to help older residents maintain their independence and well-being. Maisie Walker joins us live from outside the branch that's just shut down. There are, of course, several other locations across Kent of Age UK sites. Should people be concerned?
So at this moment, it seems like an isolated occurrence. The Board of Trustees at Age UK Kent Rivers has said the charity is facing significant cash flow challenges and is therefore likely to enter an insolvent process. This happens when an organisation can no longer pay its debts and must go through a formal procedure to either close or restructure. They've made it remarkably clear that this has been a decision that hasn't been an easy one, stating over recent months we have worked diligently to address significant and escalating financial challenges. Despite these efforts, the position has become unsustainable, and we are no longer able to continue operating in our current form. The priority at the moment is to ensure those who rely on the services are supported the best of their ability. And for viewers who are unfamiliar, Age UK has supported many people across Kent by helping older residents maintain their independence and well-being. And I spoke earlier today with Tudor Price, a member of the Kent Invicta Chamber of Commerce, about the financial pressures facing non-profit organisations such as charities.
Well, there's two issues at the moment, really. The sort of primary one being consumer spend. We've seen people anxious about rising inflation, rising mortgage rates, things like that, cost of living. And so obviously they're just not dipping into their pocket quite as frequently as they have done. So you have that consumer confidence is one issue. The second one is perhaps probably what's really pushing some of these charities to the edge is there was a lot of central funding from either from local authorities or from central government. And a lot of that's been withdrawn as the government sort of tried to get to grips with some of these sort of larger economic challenges. So, they're being hit on two fronts. And so it's not surprising that quite a few of them are really sort of finding it hard to survive.
People across Medway are relying on these services, so this news must come as a real shock to them. Can you explain in a little bit more detail what kind of support was available and how people might be affected by its loss?
So Age UK provides a wide range of support, all aimed at improving quality of life and helping people stay independent. So many people across Gillingham will have depended on this support. I've reached out to the charity to ask what happens next, and they pointed me back to the statement you saw earlier on. But a Medway Council spokesperson said, "We are working with Age UK Kent Rivers to ensure residents who are known to our adult care social team continue to receive the support they rely on. Our social care team will work closely with the residents, their families and carers to ensure appropriate care packages are put in place as soon as possible." So currently the council is not aware of any formal insolvency date and does commission daycare support at the Mackany Centre through Age UK Kent Rivers. So the council currently pays the charity to run some services like the daycare centre at Mackany Centre, and obviously more on this story as we know.
Thank you so much, Maisie. Remember, you can keep up to date with all of our latest stories by logging on to our website kmtv.co.uk. There you can watch all of these reports like this one.
This might be a familiar logo to you if you consume products by companies like these. And yesterday, Tunbridge Wells was the host of Kent's Local Impact Summit, where B Corp leaders across the county discussed how businesses could be better.
I'm here to represent Grips, but I'm also here as an interested person in Kent. Grips is very proud to be a B Corp, and bringing other B Corps together. We meet quite often as Kent B Corps, and I think it's really important to keep the momentum of what we're doing. We all believe in a number of things which has led us to become a B Corp.
And it wasn't just tradesmen in attendance.
Tunbridge Wells is certainly the place to be if you want to establish a business. Fantastic, motivated workforce. We've got a great community. All of the businesses work together. It's that when we come back to this B Corp business, which is about your community, your staff, and your business, all of those work together really well in Tunbridge Wells.
Mike Martin is a supporter of the Better Business Act a campaign led by B Lab that is lobbying to change UK law by amending the Companies Act. Section 172 of the legislation currently states that a director of a company must act in the way he considers in good faith will be most likely to promote the success of the company for the benefit of its members as a whole. But the Better Business Act wants to change this, to make it a legal requirement for directors to act in ways that considers their stakeholders, workers, customers, communities and the environment.
It's March right now, which is B Corp month, and we run this campaign every year. And really what we're trying to do is we're spotlighting B Corps within the movement, and we're really demonstrating through B Corps what purposeful business looks like. And the idea is that it inspires companies not only to potentially become B Corps themselves, but to actually act like B Corps.
Now, all that might seem good in principle, but in practice, what does it really mean? B Corps, that is better corporations, have made a legal pledge to not just consider profit when running their businesses. Instead, things like the impact on people, that includes both customers and employees, and the environment are factored into how a business is run. And here on the high street of Tunbridge Wells, there are many different businesses, big and small. And one of them, Cook, was founded in Sittingbourne. They manufacture frozen ready meals like this one here. And one of the co-founders, Ed Perry, was one of the founding members of B Corp here in the UK in 2013. And with notes being made and business cards exchanged, the summit may have been a success. But the next time you find yourself on the high street, would a so-called better corporation be at the top of your list? Or just plan B if your usual choice is unavailable? Megan Shaw for KMTV in Tunbridge Wells.